तो ये वाला पेपर 2 ठीक है। अच्छा अब स्टार्टिंग वो कल वाला हमने मेरे ख्याल से कंप्लीट कर लिया था, ठीक है। वी हैड डन, ठीक है, वी डिड कंप्लीट द लास्ट वन, ठीक है,
जी
विच,
सर, मेरे ख्याल से कर लिया था।
हाँ वो कर लिया था। तो ये स्टार्ट करें W23 क्वेश्चन पेपर 2 3, ठीक है, दिस वन। अब इसमें स्टार्ट से, ठीक है, स्टार्टिंग विद द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन। तो जल्दी से बताओ कि द नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इन द पी सबशेल फॉस्फोरस ग्रुप 5 में है। सो व्हाट इज इट्स
जी।
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक configuration, the outermost shell, if it's group 5?
So I think it's gonna be 1s1.
No, not the whole,
Wait,
if it,
1s2. 1s2.
no, no, if it's in group 5, what is the outer shell electronic configuration, like
That
without,
should be SP 3p5.
नहीं, वो ये है ना कि it's where's the data book there, ठीक है। I told you that this is S1 outer shell, this is S2, this is S2P1, ठीक है, this is S2P2, this is S2P3, and so on. You've got P4, you've got P5, and you've got P6, ठीक है। So we're dealing with phosphorus. The outer shell is going to be S2P3, ठीक है। ये clear है?
Oh, S2p3.
So there's going to be, since it's going to be S2P3, there's going to be 3 electrons in its outer shell, ठीक है, in its P subshell.
Does it depend on their nuclear charge?
क्या चीज?
Like the P3, since it's in group 5 and the charge of group 5 is +3, does it depend on that?
नहीं, it's just simple shortcut है ये कि phosphorus, like write the complete electronic configuration. It's got 15 electrons. What's the electronic configuration of 15 electrons? It's 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, and 3p3.
3p3, yeah.
तो outer shell क्या है? That's S, 2 electrons in the S and 3 electrons in the P subshell, ठीक है। तो
Yeah.
this is just a shortcut of finding out what the outer shell looks like, ठीक है।
Okay.
This is S2P4, this is S2P5, और वो लास्ट जो S2P6 है, ठीक है। तो अच्छा, व्हाट अबाउट सल्फर?
Okay.
सल्फर इज ग्रुप 6, ग्रुप 6 क्या होगा?
S2p4.
ठीक है, so it's going to be S2P4, and so that means it's got 4 electrons in its P subshell. Cl is
Yes.
17, तो क्या होगा?
Cl is 17, so that will be S2p5.
ठीक है, so it's S2P5, so it's going to have 5 electrons. अच्छा, so what's the total number of unpaired electrons? If you've got 3 electrons in the P, so how many unpaired do you have?
3.
ठीक है, because P has 3 orbitals, so all of them would be unpaired, ठीक है। If you have 4 electrons in the
Yes.
P, so how many unpaired would you have?
2.
ठीक है, that's going to be 2. क्योंकि Px would be paired, Py, Pz would be having 2 electrons. And if you have got 5 electrons, तो फिर कितना होगा in the P?
1.
ठीक है, that's 1. अच्छा, ये हो गया। फिर next one is consider equation for the first ionization of energy of P. क्या होगा? What is the equation?
So you write P, the arrow, P plus the electron.
And the state as well. They have to be gaseous atoms and ions. ठीक।
Gaseous. Yeah.
अच्छा, 3 possible values for the first ionization energy of sulfur are given. Circle the correct value. Explain your choice by comparing your chosen value to those of P and Cl. So first, अच्छा,
Okay.
what is the trend in ionization energies across the period? क्या होता है? It's,
Ionization energy increases across a period.
but there's going to be dips. Group 1, group 2, then there's a dip at
Yeah,
4,
anomalies.
5, then there's going to be a dip at 6, and then you're going to
Yeah.
have 7, and then you're going to have 8, right? So phosphorus is over here, group 5, sulfur is group
Yes.
6, and Cl is group 7, right? So
Yes.
at sulfur, there is going to be a dip. तो इन तीनों में से कौन सी वैल्यू होगी?
How do you know like there's gonna be a dip?
at sulfur.
No, I mean like where the dips are.
The dips are always at group. Like if I show you the notes, 1 second for किधर है? AS. Wait a second. Atomic structure analyzation energies. This. अच्छा, so remember कि across the period. You have to remember कि across the period. I mean, there are reasons for that. ठीक है. This is successive. ये across the period. So always remember that the general trend across the period in ionization energies is that it increases, right? Why does it increase? Because they all have kind of the same number of shells. They have the same shielding, but the nuclear charge keeps on
The
increasing.
nuclear charge is increasing.
So that's why ionization energy increases. The distance also gradually decreases. So that's another reason why the ionization energies increase. But mainly it's the nuclear charge. The nuclear charge continuously increases across the period, right? But there are going to be
Yes.
depth anomalies at group 3 and group 6. Okay?
Okay.
And they're going to ask you reasons for that. Explain why there's a decrease in the first. What happens at group 3? Why does the ionization energy decrease? It decreases because group 1 would be S1, group 2 would be S2, group 3 would be S2P1, right? So all of a sudden you have an
Yeah.
extra orbital.
Shell.
All of a sudden you
Sorry,
have,
orbital, I mean.
all of a sudden you've got an extra orbital which is more shielded because you've got more shells, more.
Yes.
So group 3 is removed from a higher energy p subshell, which is further away compared to the 2s subshell and has more shielding. Okay, so it becomes easier to remove electrons.
Alright.
I said, then what happens at group 6? You're removing electrons.
I
This
think
is
the same
common.
happens.
Same, no, not the same
The
thing.
same
What
thing
happens
happens
is
in group 3.
what happens in group 6 is that all of a sudden your peak becomes paired. But after this thing, it's going to be P2, then
Oh.
P3, then P4. When you go to P4, one of the p orbital now has 2 electrons, so there is repulsion, and it becomes easier to remove electrons. Okay. So in oxygen, electrons is removed from a paired p subshell, and due to spin pair repulsion, ionization energy decreases compared to N, where electrons are removed from half filled. Before that, everything is half filled. At oxygen, at group 6, all of a sudden you've got a paired p orbital. Okay. ये बात clear है?
Yes.
तो पहले तो ये बताने कि तो sulfur it's going to be a dip. So that means the correct answer is going to be 1000, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Because of the dip. And then you have to explain the dip. Okay, उसने कहा explain your choice. So the explanation is that in sulfur, electron is removed from a paired p subshell. अच्छा, 4 marks. अच्छा, from a paired p subshell. So due to electron repulsion, electron repulsion, or electron pair repulsion, it becomes easier to remove electrons. ठीक है, क्लियर है?
जी.
अच्छा, और इसका ना वो देख लेते हैं कि EMS because it's 4 marks, right? So that's a lot of marks. Let's just have a look at the distribution. Here, I just 4 marks, 1000. That's correct. Uh, so 1 mark was for stating that it has the lowest nuclear attraction. वो spin पे repulsion वाली भी है, ठीक है? अच्छा, we talked about the dip, लेकिन CL का नहीं लिखा, ठीक है? CL का भी लिख लेना चाहिए था इसमें. We missed out on the CL thing. So this question, the only thing that was missing in the explanation was that we talked about why sulfur has a lower ionization energy compared to phosphorus. लेकिन Why does it rise again? Because Cl, on the other hand, has greater nuclear charge. So has the strongest attraction. Attraction की बात हमने पहले नहीं की थी. Uh, I think easier to remove electrons kind of translates into having lower attraction. ठीक है, बल्कि लिख देना चाहिए it's less attracted. ठीक है, is that clear?
Yes.
ठीक है, so we explained the dip. Why is it dipping? But why is Cl higher? Because it's got greater nuclear charge. अच्छा, what's the full electronic configuration of P3 minus? 15 होता है, तो now it has how many electrons? 18. 18.
18.
1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, right? State the trend in ionic radiuses. Which one do you think is the biggest?
I think ionic radius, um, doesn't it increase across a period as well?
नहीं, इन तीनों को देखो. पहले तो do they have the how many electrons do each one have? Like how many electrons would phosphorus have over here?
18.
ठीक है, what about the
18.
next?
Three of them will have 18.
Because that means they're isoelectronic. That means they all have the same number of electrons. So that means the electronic configuration, everything is exactly the same. ठीक है, so they should have the same size.
Yes.
But who is attracting its electrons strongly?
I think it's gonna be phosphorus.
नहीं, electrons किससे attract होते हैं? Protons से, right?
Yeah.
So 17 protons will.
Oh, 17. True, 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 true.
ठीक है, ठीक है. So 17 protons are going to have the strongest attraction. So this one would be the smallest, and this one would be the largest. But
Biggest.
the explanation में यही होगा कि they all have the same number of electrons. पहले तो 1 mark would be for stating which one is the smallest, which one is the largest, right? और दूसरा बताना they have the same number of electrons,
Yes.
but chlorine has the greatest number of protons. ठीक है. As the next
Alright.
one, there's a test on NaCl. NaCl. बताओ, will there be
Okay.
displacement if I have NaCl and I add bromine to it?
Mhm. The reactivity increases as you go down the group, right?
नहीं, decreases.
It decreases.
For
No,
for
it might
non for
displace.
non-metals, it decreases. ठीक है.
Okay. So I think it won't displace
Yeah, there's no
because
displacement.
chlorine is higher than bromine, so no change.
So what happens if you add sulfuric acid? What happens with NaCl plus ये वो inorganic है, ठीक है? Look at your inorganic notes. The reaction with sulfuric acid. Where's the inorganic X again? I said the reaction with sulfuric acid.
Okay.
If you have a look at your notes, kind of sulfuric acid, this one. So this corner over here. What happens is कि
I,
Cl minus one is not a good reducing agent. Cl minus one attracts its electrons very strongly. It does not like to lose electrons. ठीक है? But the bottom ones,
okay.
Br minus one and I minus one, are very good reducing agents. बड़े ions होते हैं ना, they lose electrons very easily. ठीक है? So what happens is, in the case of sulfuric acid, if you react it with NaCl, you don't get you don't get a redox reaction. You just get a displacement reaction. A displacement reaction happens only. और उस displacement reaction में क्या होता है?
Okay.
The H and the Cl combine and they form HCl gas. So you see fumes of HCl gas, white fumes. And the other ions, they remain part of the solution. ठीक है?
All right.
So उसने observation कहा था ना, so you're going to see white fumes.
White fumes.
अच्छा, what happens? Cl का क्या टेस्ट होता है? If you add silver nitrate a few drops, it's going to give you a white press plate of AgCl. ठीक है, that's
Of?
AgCl white press plate. मतलब although आपने बस ये लिखना है white press
Yeah.
plate that. ठीक है. I mean, you don't have to write the equations over here. That's the
Okay.
next one. POClC shows similar chemical properties to PCl5. POClC has a melting point of 1 centigrade and a boiling point of 106. Reacts vigorously with water, forming misty fumes and an acidic solution. Explain how the formation information D suggests the structure and bonding of POCl3 is simple covalent. So how does it? Well, what's the if a molecule is simple covalent, what would it have?
Mhm. So we just need to talk about the structure and bonding.
So if it's simple covalent, so how do you justify it's simple covalent based on the information that's given?
Okay.
Write down.
Um,
Simple covalent
I
की क्या
think
property होती है? Hmm?
I think the structure. Wait. Huh?
If it's simple covalent, the first thing is that the melting and boiling points are low, right?
Yeah, because the bonds can easily be broken.
Not the bonds. What do simple
Like
covalent?
the
Intermolecular forces.
intermolecular forces.
Okay. So they're going to have weak intermolecular forces. That's one. Any other information that suggests that कि वो है, it's simple covalent?
Um,
Yeah, again, we're referring to the notes. ठीक है? Remember when you get more covalent character, uh, they hydrolyze because ionic compounds they don't tend to hydrolyze a lot. ठीक
okay.
है? So there is vigorous hydrolysis.
Okay.
That also suggests that it's covalent. ठीक है? They react with water. Uh, Ionic compounds like NaCl, ये इसमें दिया हुआ भी है ना कि कहाँ पे है, where's the notes inorganic, ठीक है? Like hydrolysis, if you look at the chlorides and the hydrolysis, where is it? This one. The ionic compounds, they just dissolve, they just turn into ions and that's it. They dissociate into ions. लेकिन जो covalent होते हैं ना, they start reacting with water and they have vigorous hydrolysis, ठीक है?
All right.
So that also suggests that it's a covalent molecule. अच्छा,
Okay.
कंस्ट्रक्ट द इक्वेशन विद वाटर, सो PuCl3 plus water, तो उसने क्या कहा था, क्या बना था? He said that it was forming misty fumes and an acidic solution. Misty fumes किसके होंगे? I think that would be
Yes.
what, HCl?
Mr. Fumes was, I think, HCl? Will it really be HCl?
हाँ, misty fumes is HCl, ठीक है. Plus, there's an acidic solution. So what would that acidic solution be? I think that would be phosphoric acid, right?
Phosphoric acid.
PA, so I guess that's.
H2PO4. Yeah.
And you can then balance it. Okay, water Cl कितना हो गया? That's 3. So you got 3H3H, so that's going to be 3H2O. You got 4 oxygens, ठीक है, so everything is balanced. As I complete the dot and cross diagram to show the bonding in POCl3 showing outer shell. Cl कितने bonds बनाता है? Just forms one bond, right?
Yes.
So the other Cl would also form one bond.
One bond.
So this Cl would also form one bond. बाकी 6 electrons remaining. So on the other hand, oxygen would form a double bond. ठीक है? ऑक्सीजन ग्रुप 6 में होता है, it forms a, अच्छा
Sir,
it,
the notes you just opened where the chart was,
हाँ
the I don't have those notes.
वो मैं सेंड कर देता हूँ, वो एटॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर के हैं, ठीक है।
All right.
तो वो मैं सेंड कर देता हूँ।
Okay.
क्लास स्क्रीन में कर, ये बताओ कि सो दिस इज इट, ठीक है। ऑक्सीजन मेक्स अ डबल बॉन्ड व्हाइल द सीएल्स आर मेकिंग सिंगल बॉन्ड्स, इज दैट क्लियर?
Yes.
अच्छा, एंड आल्सो
SCl
रिमेंबर
has
कि
-1 charge.
नहीं, नॉट इन अ कोवलेंट मॉलिक्यूल, दे डोंट हैव -1 चार्ज।
Okay, okay, covalent. I thought it was ionic.
हाँ कोवलेंट में, आई मीन दे टोल्ड यू दैट इट्स कोवलेंट, ठीक है, वो यहाँ पे भी मेंशन था कि इट्स सिंपल
Okay. No,
कोवलेंट।
I was looking at the notes, so I didn't really see.
अच्छा ठीक है। अच्छा, दिस इज PuCl3, राइट? एंड also
Yes.
remember के also remember one thing के elements that are in period 3, जैसा ये फास्फोरस है ना, फास्फोरस इज इन पीरियड 3, ठीक है। ये पीरियड 3 वाले जितने भी एलिमेंट्स हैं,
Yes.
एंड बियॉन्ड दैट, द ऑक्टेट रूल डज नॉट अप्लाई टू देम, ठीक है। क्योंकि पीरियड 3,
Okay.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल पीरियड 1 है ना, उसमें पीरियड 1 में द आउटर शेल कैन हैव मैक्सिमम ऑफ 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स। Any
Okay.
element that's in period 2, the outer shell can have a maximum 8 electrons. Period 3 का जो एलिमेंट होगा ना, the maximum electrons it can have is 18, ठीक है। तो रिमेंबर वो जो 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स वाला रूल है ना, दैट डज नॉट अप्लाई टू फास्फोरस, ठीक है। वो क्लियर है बात?
Okay.
तो फास्फोरस
Yes.
कैन फास्फोरस गॉट मच बिगर शेल्स। मतलब फास्फोरस की इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कन्फिग्रेशन जो है ना, दैट्स उसका जो थर्ड शेल का आउटर शेल होता है ना, दैट्स 3s3p and 3d, so that's 2 electrons and that's 6 electrons and that's 10 electrons, ठीक है। So that's a total of, it can possibly have a maximum of 18 electrons, ठीक है।
Okay.
अच्छा आगे चले जाओ, this one is delta HF, what's the definition of delta HF? ध्यान किया यानो,
When okay.
तो मुझे वहां पे बता दो, enthalpy of formation।
Okay, so when a compound is formed, wait, 1 mole of compound is formed, is
Yeah,
it? Or is it 1 mole of water?
the 1 mole of compound is formed from its constituent
From its
elements, ठीक,
elements. Yes, from its elements under certain conditions.
under standard conditions।
Oh, standard.
अच्छा, it's the energy evolved, released or absorbed when, what happens when 1 mole
Of a compound
of a compound or substance is formed
is formed from its elements.
from its elements in the standard states
Yes.
as a standard states, ठीक है। तो ये, अब उसके बाद है calculate the bond energy PO in POCl3 using data in table 1.1.3, so this probably requires a Hess cycle, I think।
Okay. So I
अच्छा
think we
उसने,
just need to write the elements down.
नहीं मैं
They
वही
already
सोच
give
रहा
us the
हूँ,
reaction.
नहीं, he's asking for the bond energy, just a second, let's think about it। This is how many marks? This is just 2 marks.
2 marks.
Okay, so if you,
I think they asked for a cycle in 3 marks. Not sure.
hmm?
For
हाँ, मैं
Hess
वही,
cycle, I think they asked for 3 marks.
I'm just thinking about it. I mean, this is definitely a hair cycle. Just one second, let's go for it. 2 PCl3. So that means,
Yeah,
I
let me
mean,
get my calculator.
I'm looking at the first reaction, okay?
Yeah.
So all this information is
So
related to that.
2 times, yeah,
See,
2
पहले
times minus
तो-
289.
let me draw the whole molecule. That's 2
A
times
sec.
PCl3, right?
Alright.
And then there's O double bond O, right?
Yes.
And it's forming POCl3, right? POCl3 had a double bond and CCls. And that's also two molecules, right?
Yes.
So now the information that they gave us is they've given us the enthalpy change of formation of POCl3 and the enthalpy change of so और कोई वैल्यू दी भी नहीं है कर लेते हैं we got, and all of them are gaseous, right? So how many bonds are broken?
Yes.
How many bonds? So since you need to find out bond energy, right?
Yeah. So that should be bond forming minus bond breaking. No, bond
So
breaking
bond
minus bond
breaking is
forming.
bond formation, right? So we're
Yes.
gonna we're gonna do that. So
Okay.
how many bonds are broken? That's you're breaking six.
That's 570. Okay.
You're breaking six PCl bonds, right?
6
And
PCl?
yeah,
How?
like how many bonds are broken over here?
2.
One,
Oh, okay,
two.
okay, 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 okay.
So that's and there are
3
two
times
molecules.
2, 6. Yeah, yeah.
And so you're breaking an oxygen double bond oxygen. And how many bonds are you forming? That's exothermic. So you're forming
Yes.
six PCl bonds, right?
Yes.
And you're also forming
That
one P
oxygen.
double bond, right?
Yeah.
So your enthalpy changes this, right?
So 6 PCl will be 1 minus 1734.
No, we don't have six. Where did you get the PCl bond energy? It's not given in the table.
PCl3. Okay, that's PCl3.
Uh-huh. I mean, they
I
didn't give you
think
the bond energy. Nee, but see, it gets cancelled out. Is that clear?
no, okay, okay, because they're on the both side of the equation.
Yeah, so that gets cancelled out anyway, so you don't need that, right? The
So
O
we
double
just need
bond,
oxygen
O double
and
bond,
the
O bond energy is given, right?
yeah,
And that's given as 496. So that's 496.
496
You're breaking the O double bond, O bond. And the P double bond O
minus
you were looking for, right?
yes.
And that's equal to
So
delta
what's
H.
the did they
Now,
give us the total at delta H enthalpy change?
that is another question. They didn't actually give you delta H. So right now we're stuck. We don't know what delta H is, right? But there's a way of finding delta H for this reaction because
So are we gonna use delta H1 2 minus delta H1?
mother, there's another formula for finding delta H for this reaction, right? How do you find delta H for this reaction? Because they
Yes.
gave you enthalpy of formation of PCl3, which is minus 289,
Yes.
and that's going to be minus 289 times 2. They gave
Yes.
us the enthalpy of formation of
Yeah.
POCl3 as well. That's minus 592 times 3, right?
Yes.
Enthalpy of formation of elements is 0.
Yes.
So there's another formula which is that if enthalpies of formation are given, then the enthalpy change is basically the enthalpy of formation of products minus the enthalpy of formation of the reactants.
Reactants.
Okay. So our enthalpy change that we wanted to solve, which we needed was product minus reaction. So it's going to be minus 592 times 3 minus the reactants, which
592
is
times 3,
minus 289 times
which
2,
is
right?
1776.
ये पूरा कितना आ रहा है?
1776. Okay, okay, pura. Minus 1198.
Minus 1198.
8.
Now I'm going to use that and I'm going to put it over here. Minus 1. Yeah, the 1198.
Yes.
And we can then plus 496 on the other side. And minus, now I can find out P del bond O.
Okay, so we can bring minus 496. P double bond O is going to be minus 1694. But then that's minus, so if you multiply that by minus 1, you're gonna get 1694. 1694.
No, it should not. Is it 1694?
Yeah, because you see the P, it's minus. And if you multiply by minus 1, the minus will cancel out.
So,
So your value will be positive.
something went wrong here.
It did?
No, because the value is too high. Okay, it's too high. Bond energies are normally not that high. Okay. Actually, like we did everything correctly. Did you get this right?
Yeah.
So that looks fine. Okay. And did we get this right? Six PCl bonds, six PCl bonds. That got cancelled out.
Yeah.
O double bond O. हाँ ये ठीक है. We got this wrong क्योंकि there's two P double bond O.
Oh. You have
ठीक
to
है.
divide by 2.
So actually, this is going to be divided by two. ठीक है. Is this clear?
847.
कितना है? 8 4
7.
7. Where's the MS? 8 4. You still got it wrong. Uh,
Where is it?
it's just no, no. Oh,
551.
the first part.
They even added oxygen.
The oxygen is fine. That's not the issue.
No, we didn't add oxygen.
We did add oxygen. That's 496. इसको जरा rearrange करके लिखते हैं ना. That's minus 1198. Okay. How did it get it minus 1198? We got 1198 from the top, right? It was
Yes.
minus 592 times 3.
Yeah.
हाँ times 3 क्यों किया हुआ है? ये गलत किया हुआ है ना. We made a mistake over here as well. It's not
Where
times.
592? It's supposed to be times 2.
It's supposed to be times 2, right?
Yes.
तो फिर ये
So that
1198.
is
What do you get for this?
minus 606.
Minus 606, right? Now we're going to use minus 606 over here.
Yeah, I got the answer.
Okay, so you got the right answer.
551.
So,
Yeah,
okay, but
551.
this was like very few marks for a very lengthy question. Okay, but the question, this was a pretty tricky question. And the calculation were very difficult as well because you could have any minor error over here and you'll get the wrong answer. But they're giving very few marks for this. लेकिन ये clear है कि you found out the enthalpy of this reaction by using product minus reactants because formations were given, right? So always remember that if
Yes.
if your formation values are given, it's simply product minus reactants. You figure out the enthalpy change, and you use that enthalpy change, and you use the other formula, which was bond broken minus bonds formed, right? So bonds broken and bonds formed. The enthalpy change was already calculated, which was minus 606, and you were able to, even though you did not have PCl bond energy, but you never needed that, okay, because that got cancelled out anyways, okay? Clear है?
Yes.
Or even overall, I think this is kind of one of the trickiest energetics question that I've seen recently, okay? अच्छा अगला part. ये बिल्कुल latest paper है ना यार. अच्छा, you've got state the variation solubilities of group 2 hydroxides. What happens to group 2 hydroxides when you go down the group? Do they
I
become more
think
soluble or they're less soluble?
I think they become less soluble.
ये notes देखो ना इसका inorganic. Group 2
Let me check.
hydroxide. Group 2. and the hydroxides की जो solubility that's mentioned, ये वाला. The first one is less soluble, and as you go down the group, the solubility increases. Calcium hydroxide is partially soluble, while strontium hydroxide and barium hydroxide are very soluble. So इस वाले में they just ask for the solubility increases down the group. Is that clear?
Okay.
So what is observed in reaction number one? It's pretty obvious. What would you observe?
I can't see. Okay. Reaction 1, H2O. I think that's. Is that not hydrolysis?
Which one? It's simple.
Reaction 1,
Simply listen, the reaction is already in front of you. Just tell me what would you observe? What would you see?
barium hydroxide.
You had a solid and it's dissolving, right? That's it.
Okay.
ठीक है बस ये solid dissolves. Is that clear?
Alright.
अच्छा और
So just a reactant.
the solid dissolves. Plus इस पे वो
Yeah.
भी बताओ कि do you know what the color of the solid is?
White.
ठीक है group 2 it's also it's you can write white solid dissolves. ठीक है.
Okay.
So ये आवाज आ रही है? Hello.
G.
अच्छा वापस वापस इस पे पता नहीं इसको क्या हुआ एक सेकंड. अच्छा ये वापस ये. अच्छा इसमें कि what acid would you add over here in this one?
Huh? Carbonate? No,
Carbonate
carbonate is the I think hydrochloric acid.
नहीं कार्बोनेट वाला एसिड कौन सा होता है? इट्स कार्बोनिक एसिड. इज दैट क्लियर?
Hyd. Okay.
ठीक है सो that's simply going to be uh, carbonic acid in that case. अच्छा और फिर नेक्स्ट है कि ये किधर चला गया एकदम से. जस्ट अ सेकंड. अच्छा मैं आइडेंटिफाई ए barium hydroxide में से if you remove so he's adding ethanoic acid. So he got barium hydroxide and now he's adding ethanoic acid CH3. अच्छा he's getting
So I think you will get CH3 COOH 2BA.
नहीं इस माइनस मतलब वो वाटर बन गया
Okay,
सॉल्ट.
mine it's group 2.
So it's going to be this thing, right?
2BA, yeah.
ठीक है. Is that clear?
Yes.
अच्छा उसके बाद है कि इसमें with reaction of BA with water, right, in equation. So what happens when you react BA with water?
Hmm.
It's just
I
going to be,
think you get barium hydroxide,
and plus it's going to be,
water. I mean
it's,
hydrogen.
yeah, hydrogen gas, ठीक है?
Yes.
अच्छा, उसके बाद you've got the next one is that there's a mineral which is contains both barium carbonate and calcium carbonate. Both compounds decompose on heating state. Which de so this is about decomposition. Which one decomposes first? तो उसमें भी मतलब वही notes देख लो, ठीक है? Decomposition. Which carbonate will decompose first? So that's going to be down the group, they become harder to decompose. Barium carbonate would be very
So
decompose.
calcium will decompose faster.
ठीक है, so calcium carbonate decomposes
Faster than barium.
faster, ठीक है? और उसकी रीजन भी उधर है, ठीक है? It's got calcium has a smaller ionic radius, so it's got greater polarizing power, ठीक है? Down the group, the ionic radius increases,
Okay.
charge density increases, hence ion polarizing power. लेकिन ये मैं देख लूँ कि ये मार्किंग स्कीम में उन्होंने दिया हुआ है कि नहीं दिया हुआ कि नहीं, क्योंकि वो एक्सप्लेनेशन A2 की है. You just- They were just looking for that the thermal stability increases down the group. That's it. No further explanation needed at this point. ठीक है, clear?
Okay. Yes.
वो just remember कि ये जो explanation है ना, that's for A2. ठीक है, not for AS yet.
Okay.
The second तक खत्म करके. And next, construct the equation for the complete decomposition of this. So barium oxide and calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So it's a combination of both, right?
Sir, I can't see the question.
Can you see the screen right now?
No, I can just see the answer that you projected earlier.
अच्छा, फिर ये देख लो कि या वेट कर लो.
Okay.
Can you see the screen now?
It shows thermal stability increases down the group.
नहीं, उससे तो मैं हट क्यों? I'm on the question now.
Okay, I can see the question now.
You can see my pointer now.
Yes.
Acha, okay, coming back to this. Remember, he said barium carbonate. It's a mixture of barium carbonate and calcium carbonate, right?
Yes.
So if it decomposes, it's going to form metal oxide and carbon dioxide. So that's exactly what it's going to do, okay?
Okay.
And then you have an organic chemistry question. It's used to hydrolyze organic compounds. The reaction of B. So this one is an ester, okay? If you look carefully, it's how many carbon atoms? That's one, two, three, right? So it's one, two, three. On the third one, then there's a fourth one that's CO2, and then there's a CH3, right? और फिर second वाले पे ना there's a CN. And this is H, this is H, H. ये सारे H हैं, ठीक है? He's saying that
Yes.
it is used for hydrolysis. So what happens in hydrolysis? First thing, ester जो है ना that
The O is like hydrogen is added there to the O.
ये जो हाँ ठीक है और alcohol बन जाता है on the other side that becomes a carboxylic acid, right?
Yes.
Plus the other hydrolysis that happens is for CN. CN also turns into a carboxylic acid, ठीक है? So what you're going to get is ये वाला जो होगा this is going to form a carboxylic acid
Yes.
और जो CN है that will also form a carboxylic acid, ठीक है? और बाकी सारे H है. And the other side will have OH. Is that clear?
Yes.
अच्छा लेकिन since it's barium hydroxide, अच्छा फिर वो nitric acid भी है. बस ठीक है, so that's what will be formed. तो हमने कौन से क्वेश्चन तक कर लिया? क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. We just ended question number 2, तो ये मैं लिख भी लूँ. ठीक है, कल कंटिन्यू करते हैं आपसे, ठीक है?
All right. Sir, don't forget to send the notes.
ठीक है, I'm going to send it.